Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. Means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Jacob Beck, Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Fired up here with us. Hope that work week is in the rearview mirror. If it's not, we'll get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. It's Regional Friday. There is action aplenty. There is weather aplenty. That includes Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And if you have not gotten this news, it just broke in the last 3 minutes. They are in a delay over at Alex Box Stadium right now. The teams, to my understanding, did not warm up on the field. They went to the cages to do that. They kept a tarp on the mound. I think the grounds crew is at the ready right now. And as you're well aware, they're just simply not going to start this thing if it feels like they're 45 minutes or an hour away from having to stop. At some points, it's unavoidable. You've just got too much weather in the area. You're too far behind. You got to get up and get going. At 1 o'clock on Friday, with a really clean weekend ahead, I don't think you're going to see LSU, nor, at this point, honestly, Little Rock, rush out to the field to get a pitcher ready to go hot, throw an inning in a third, and then sit there and watch it rain for 2 hours. And so this is precisely why you play the first game as the host. I know there are a lot of you, myself very much included, y'all know this, that are working at 2 o'clock on a Friday. I got a show 1 to 3. I got to be here. And it bums me out if they're going to start at 2 o'clock on a Friday in a regional that we look forward to all year, and you can't be there because you're chained to the desk. But as a coach, Jay Johnson's responsibility is to do the best thing for his team. And the best thing for his team is to make sure that you can get this game in today. And I would be stunned if LSU could not play today. It's just a matter of when we start things up. Let's go out to Alex Box Stadium. It's where we find Michael Cauble, sports director, not meteorologist at WBRZ Channel 2. He's at the box. Cauble, what's the word over there?
Yeah, so if you didn't know, basically they're in an indefinite weather delay right now, and I think it's going to be a lengthy one. They said there's lightning in the area. There are some dark clouds behind the stadium, but this one was never going to start on time. Just talking to our meteorologist, Josh Eatriss, he said there's a window from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock where there's going to be potential for severe weather. He didn't think that there was any chance that there was not a lightning delay at some point. And just so you know, something I found out yesterday talking to the NCAA site rep, they're looking for an hour and a half of clean play before they really start the game. And what that translates into is 45-minute warm-up period for that as well. So you're really looking at 2 hours and 15 minutes of uninterrupted field action, right? And they don't feel like they have that window in front of them right now, which is why we're in this delay. And it's also why I don't think you're going to see a start to this game until after 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock even kind of situation. So again, I think it's going to be a fairly lengthy delay, something we're getting used to around these parts, right? And Little Rock is in the batting cages. One of the things they did earlier, they decided to do no on-field warm-ups for BP. They're going to just do BP in the cages. Little Rock's in there now. Both teams are still here. Obviously, they haven't sent anybody home at this point. So it's all subject to change. It is literally the weather, but based on kind of the information we've been gathering the last 24 hours, I feel pretty confident that this one's going to be a lengthy delay.
Is the tarp on the field?
Tarp is not on the field, and nobody's made any actions to go get the tarp as of yet. The grounds crew is standing by. They're ready to rock and roll. And we'll tweet out updates when that happens, if that happens. But that's it right now.
So to this point, nobody's really done any warming up on the field. Nobody's gotten ready to play. The anticipation for over an hour has been that we're probably not going to start on time. So nobody ramped it up over there and having to cool down.
Exactly. It was a slow warm up. Talking to the site rep, that's one of the things we talked about. They wanted to make sure that both teams understood that. Both teams agreed to that. The most action we've seen is Little Rock walking down to the cages. Some pitchers went down to the bullpen and changed their shoes. So that tells you that nothing's happening anytime soon. So. I think, again, this was expected by everybody pretty much in the know, kind of saw it coming, played towards that eventuality, and here we are in the middle of it. And they left it open, as they're not saying it's a 45-minute delay. They're not saying, well, so here we go, Little Rock's coming back from the cages right now, walking out of the cages, walking down the right field line, and they'll walk over to their dugout. And then we'll have a better idea, right? If we see them all jump up and get on a bus and head out of here, then we know it's going to be a real lengthy delay. If not, they are staying downtown, I think. I don't know. I talked to all the teams yesterday and tried to figure out where their hotels were. But so again, there's different tells, that you can pick up from doing this time and time again. And so I'll get you updated if you see something of note, that changes.
So I know. Go ahead.
The lineup is posted in the LSU dugout. They obviously don't like us to show that or tweet that out. Interestingly enough, the starter is covered up, right? The batting order is available to look at, but the starting pitcher is covered up. So that's Jay will Jay until the day is done.
That is the greatest nugget I've gotten all baseball season. The man is just relentless when it comes to that. That's incredible stuff. Last thing,
we're getting some raindrops actually.
Okay,
a couple raindrops.
That's disappointing, but not unexpected. I do know for sure during Southeastern Conference play that the home team is in charge of when you start the game. Once you start the game, it's the umpire's discretion. At this point, we believe it's the NCAA who's in charge with maybe some consulting of the head coach.
I'll give you a little update on that too, right? Because that's the question I asked after the last time we did this, right? Like, how much influence do the head coaches have? Because we all know Jay's not going to want to start a game. If there's the potential, right? The site rep told me that this is all NCAA run. Okay. And the reason that they do that is they really want to prepare the teams for Omaha when they get there, because they have no say in the matter in Omaha. Here, you might have a little bit of input, and certainly you talk to the locals, whether that be local meteorologists, local field, grounds crew, all those kinds of people have input, right? But ultimately it is up to the site reps to make the decision. So this is an NCAA decision. They actually have the radar up on the board right now. It looks like there's a strong cell south in West Baton Rouge Parish. So looks like it'll clip just south of the box, but it's certainly significant enough, and it's inside our and it's got lightning attached to it, so you can kind of see the strike. So good job on them, right? Doing their part and making sure everybody's safe. And but that one cell is moving through. I don't think it's the one cell we're worried about. I think it's more of the front that's associated with it. Still a couple hours behind, or at least an hour away.
Well, I won't be there until about 3:30. I do have a seat in the press box, so if you need somewhere to sit down, you got it.
Good news for you, Hunt Palmer. You do. You have a front row seat. I was very concerned when I saw that. I was like, how that? But they're like, man, they got other slappies up there. They got seats too. That I'm like, who are these people? I've never even heard of these people. So at least you have a front row seat. I have a second row seat. I'll be sitting behind you, throwing popcorn at you if this game ever gets going.
That's all good. Can't wait to get there. Thanks for your help, Cauble. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Be good.
He is Michael Cauble over there at WBRZ. So if you're just jumping in, you're jumping out of work, you're trying to blitz over to the box to get there for a 2 o'clock start, LSU and Little Rock are delayed. This is an NCAA call. You recall 2 years ago when LSU got into this, well, it wasn't this spot in the regional, but it was the Saturday game of the regional. They did start against Oregon State, and they did play 3 innings, and Ty Floyd did start, and then he was pulled from the game because there was a rain delay. Thatcher Hurd had to come in. They just want to avoid that at all costs. That's not the best way for a team that's worked for 4 months and of regular season play, going back to August. They've worked a lot longer than that to get ready for postseason play. You don't want to compromise a team by getting a pitcher ready to go and then having to sit him down. So not completely unexpected. I actually liked the forecast all week. I thought it looked okay. Friday always looked like the toughest spot. Saturday, Sunday, Monday look really good. So I'm not concerned that you're going to get completely backed up this weekend. That's coming from someone who has literally zero weather training whatsoever and has no idea what he's doing. I was looking at my stupid weather apps. I have two of them on my phone. Yesterday, one of them said like 24%. The other one said like 88%. Well, 88 wins, I guess, because it looks like we're going to be delayed and it is going to rain. But no one ever knows. But right now, we do know that LSU and Little Rock are not going to start on time. If you missed the meat of that, that is classic Jay Johnson right there. I have been down there, so y'all know that I do some work with the LSU Sports Radio Network, and part of when I do color for the network with Chris Blair, I go down and meet Jay Johnson in the dugout about 2 hours before the game starts, record a quick 4-minute interview, send it to the producer, and it plays during the pregame show. And I do always notice the lineup is always right there, and it sometimes gives me something to ask. Oh, like earlier this year, they put Dickinson in the leadoff spot, and I asked a question because I saw it taped up to the wall. Well, they knew that the media could come down there, and Jay literally taped over the starting pitcher on the lineup in the dugout, so no media, little TV guy couldn't zoom in from the side and tweet out the starting pitcher. The man is nothing if not consistent and maniacal. Some people think that's absolutely nuts. I think that there is a method to his madness, whether you think it's reasonable or not. He just doesn't see any benefit at all in the other team knowing who his starting pitcher is before they absolutely have to. And that's the way he's always going to operate, and that's going to be the case today. So I can't give you a starting pitcher today because it's taped over in the dugout. But we do have a weather update, and LSU and Little Rock will not start on time. So that's kind of our open to the show. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to come back, and we're actually going to start the show. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
All right, Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Rain delay food. Need some? Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp headed out to the box tomorrow. Hopefully LSU is playing at about 5 o'clock tomorrow. Hopefully LSU is playing at 8 o'clock on Sunday. But you're looking to tailgate out at the box this weekend. Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. They can feed a ton. Catering is one of their specialties over at Corks. Big old trays of that crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp, shoestring fries, honey butter roll, coleslaw, all the sauces. I'm partial to the Cork sauce myself. A little mayo base, a little bit of kick. I like it a ton, but they got your tartar sauce, cocktail sauce, all that as well. Recipe born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. It's Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check out the menu online, corksfishandshrimp.com. All right, appreciate Michael Cauble for giving us a little bit of time at the top of the show. We didn't get things started as we usually do, so let's do that now with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, let's look around at what's going on in regional play right now because I find it to be incredibly fascinating on a number of levels. Florida is the 2 seed in Conway. Coastal Carolina is the 1. And Florida, who's got a great 1-2 punch, you got Liam Peterson and Aiden King, who have been phenomenal as Florida has kind of run through the second half of SEC play. So Kevin O'Sullivan said, all right, well, I realize that Coastal's our second game. They've got a really good pitching staff. We'll have to match up with a good pitcher there. But we're still going to throw our true ace in the first game. We'll go with Liam Peterson. Liam Peterson got annihilated in Conway. East Carolina lit him up like a Christmas tree. And you might go, well, East Carolina is good. Like, that's not surprising. Well, East Carolina has been good. Like, last year's East Carolina team had Trey Savage, who was a first-round pick as the ace, and their number 2 was Zach Root, who's currently leading the Arkansas rotation. So, yeah, that team was really good. This is a team that went 13-14 in the American, East Carolina, and had to get through and win their conference tournament to even get in the field. And they are up 10-2 on Florida right now. Now, the good news for Florida, if you want to take a small sliver of that, is that Liam Peterson didn't last long enough to be burned for the weekend. He didn't make it out of the second inning. So he'll be available come Sunday night or Monday if you can get there. But going down 10-2 in the sixth inning is not ideal for the Florida Gators. And speaking of a kind of a name brand in the sport getting clubbed, Cincinnati jumps all over Wake Forest. And I thought Tom Walter at Wake Forest, the head coach there, made a decision I would not have made. He started his only real ace, Morningstar, today. That's their best pitcher. They don't have like four of them like they had the last 2 years. They had one. And I thought they would save him for Tennessee tomorrow. They're in Knoxville. They're playing Cincinnati. They're the 2 seed. Thought they would save Morningstar. They did not. Morningstar gave up 8 runs in 2 innings. Now, Wake has clawed back and scored 3 in the bottom of the second. So maybe they'll get back in this game. They're only down 5. They were down 8-0. But the interesting part of this is if Cincinnati wins this game, Cincinnati runs more than any team in the tournament. They've got well over 100 steals on the year. And Marcus Phillips is Tennessee's number 2. He's going to pitch for Tennessee tomorrow. If Cincinnati plays Tennessee, Marcus Phillips is the worst pitcher in college baseball at holding runners on. And Cincinnati runs more than anybody in the tournament. So they are going to green light anybody they get on base tomorrow if they get out of this game with Wake and Phillips starts tomorrow, which he's supposed to. I think it's interesting that you're looking at a situation where Tony Vitello could have saved Liam Doyle, a left-hander, for Cincinnati potentially or Wake Forest to limit that running game or against a better team than you're going to see tonight. But Tony Vitello just doesn't change his rotation. I was stunned by Tony Vitello 2 years ago in the Omaha opener where LSU was throwing Paul Skeens. He did not move Chase Dollander up. Dollander had been moved back to the number 2 spot during SEC play. They were throwing Andrew Lindsey, who was fine, but he wasn't as good as Chase Dollander. And Tony Vitello doesn't change his rotation. This is the rotation. It's the rotation against the SEC. It's the rotation in the regional. It's the super. It's Omaha. This is how we order our pitchers. And I disagreed with that, and I disagree with it this time. And we'll see if Cincinnati wins this game, if they can make Tennessee pay for that. The other game in progress, North Carolina's playing Holy Cross. North Carolina has the ACC Pitcher of the Year. And he's their ace. And in their regional is Kyson Witherspoon and Oklahoma as the 2 seed. Kyson Witherspoon is probably going to be about the 8th pick in the draft. You know him. LSU went up there and played in Norman. And Kyson Witherspoon and Cade Anderson went head-to-head on a Thursday. And LSU won a 2-0 game that Cade Anderson threw a 134-pitch complete game shutout in. But Witherspoon is a dude. And North Carolina knew as of Thursday morning that Oklahoma was saving Kyson Witherspoon for them. Whether they get there or not, that remains to be seen, but they were saving him. And North Carolina is playing Holy Cross today in Chapel Hill. Holy Cross is 31-25 on the season. 6 games over 500. And North Carolina trotted out the ACC Pitcher of the Year in this game and will not have him if they play Oklahoma tomorrow against Kyson Witherspoon. Now, it's going well. North Carolina's up 4-0. They're not bashing everything all over the place, and their ace has held Holy Cross to nothing. So maybe it's the right decision, but I wouldn't have done it because I think if Oklahoma, with Malachi Witherspoon pitching today, becomes a favorite tomorrow against North Carolina, who's going to be pitching their number 2? Now, that depends on Oklahoma winning tonight. And that's certainly not a given. But I think that was an aggressive play, maybe a reckless play by North Carolina. But you could also say if they send their number 2 out there and he doesn't shut him out like is going on right now, well, maybe that's a bit of an issue. A couple other scores that are just in progress. No score. East Tennessee State and Louisville. That's in Vandy's region up in Nashville. They are scoreless in the top of the first. And Houston Christian and Texas are underway from Austin. That's also in the top of the first. Have you seen the time-lapse video? It's incredible. On Wednesday, a big storm blew through Austin and blew the batter's eye and the center field fence clean over in Austin. And they've had crews out there literally since it happened, getting the wall put back together. It looks like it never happened, which is awesome, but could have been a bit of an issue. So that's your scoreboard. Let me go back to what I'm saying with North Carolina and Holy Cross and them throwing the ACC Pitcher of the Year today. I think that's a bad move. I don't think, and I talked about this on Tuesday and Wednesday, that LSU throwing either Cade Anderson or Anthony Ianson today is a bad move because you have two. Ideally, you would get through today, if I'm pie in the sky world with Jaden Newt, DJ Primo, and William Schmidt logging 9 innings and beating Little Rock 14-3. But that's not necessarily realistic. North Carolina's got 4 today on Holy Cross. So while I wouldn't throw Paul Skeens today with Ty Floyd, I'm okay with Anderson or Ianson because you know tomorrow night, should you win today, that you've got one of those two dudes under the lights at the box against a team that's not quite as good as you, whether it's DBU or Rhode Island, and you feel like you're in command of the regional at that point. This is a unique position for LSU to be in relative to me watching them over the last 25 years. I can't specifically recall a 1-2 that looked like this. Like, in name brand, I can go back to 2012, and I can give you Kevin Gaussman and Aaron Nola, but Aaron Nola wasn't Aaron Nola yet. I could give you Jared Poche and Alex Lang, but Jared Poche didn't play any professional baseball. I think he went half a year. Like, he was a great college pitcher. He's the all-time wins leader at LSU. I'm not here to disparage Jared Poche's career. It was awesome. But from a talent perspective, he doesn't match up with Cade Anderson, who's probably a top 5 pick now, and Anthony Ianson, who's probably a top 40 pick right now. So to me, I'm good with either one. I'm confident in saying that LSU is going to throw one of them. And we'll find out, I think, once they announce a start time, which one that will be tonight. They were both pitching on Friday. Jay Johnson immediately came to the podium after that game and said, look, I threw them in this game so they're both on the same rest. They can both get into their routine and both can be ready on Friday and one will be ready on Saturday. And they've been able to do that. If you had thrown Anthony Ianson for 112 pitches on Saturday, you wouldn't feel quite as good about bringing him back today, and you didn't know who you were going to play. We didn't find out Little Rock was the opponent until Monday. So you prepared as best you could. And Jay Johnson told his team right after that win on Friday against Texas A&M that he knew once they walked off the field in Game 3 on Saturday in Columbia against South Carolina that, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is what we're going to move forward with these two guys in the first game of the SEC tournament now that we know we're playing on Friday. And that's what they've done. So LSU is set up right now. They're in good shape, and it's just time to go play some of your best baseball of the year. I want to talk about the form that LSU's offense carried in Hoover and is bringing to the box this weekend, because I think it's important to kind of discuss that before we get things cranked up today. I do want to mention that we're going to talk to Preston Guy, as we always do on Fridays. We're going to talk to him at 2:15. We'll have Luke Johnson coming up in 30 minutes talking about the Saints in a QB battle. But it is Regional Friday. There's college baseball. It's the best time of the year for me. And we're going to talk some more baseball when we come back. What about LSU's offense? That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. When you think Genesis, you think luxury. When you think luxury, don't think, that's expensive. Genesis model has been and will be a luxury vehicle and a luxury experience at a reasonable price. Just go to the website, GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Browse around. Whether you're looking for a sedan, SUV, family size, whatever the case is, they can have you covered over at Genesis. What I highly recommend you do, though, is stop by Airline at Piku, right across from Women's Hospital, and just go chat with one of their brand ambassadors. It's as helpful a staff as you will have encountered in the car business. I know there are stereotypes out there about salespeople and being aggressive and pushy and upselling and taking advantage and all these types of things. And those stereotypes exist for a reason. You will not experience that for a second at Genesis. You will feel like a guest, not a customer. It's an experience from start to finish, from the purchase all the way through the ownership at Genesis. Check them out, Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
So, some news from the box. Not a lot, but it is raining now, according to those who are there and tweeting furiously, and the tarp is out. So, as Cauble told us at the top of the show, you're looking at probably closer to 435, 536. So, if you just extrapolate this out, say LSU plays at 6. That game ends at 9. You're going to see the 2 and 3 seed, Rhode Island and Dallas Baptist, start their game at 10. And they're not going to finish until 1 o'clock in the morning. And that's the exact scenario that Jay Johnson and really most of the coaches want to avoid. I'm looking right now. So the teams they're the 1 seeds that have chosen to play late. Coastal's playing late. Tennessee's playing late. Vanderbilt's playing late. I know Ole Miss is playing late as well. Southern Miss is playing late. But most of them are playing early. You've seen North Carolina play early. You've seen Tennessee play early. Georgia's playing early. LSU's playing early. Arkansas is playing early. UCLA's playing early. So it's still a little bit of a mixed bag, but I firmly side on the playing early type deal. Now, Jay said that when he was at Arizona, they wanted to play late because it never rains in Tucson, and he wants those 2 and 3 seeds to melt in the 900-degree desert heat. So I get that. You got the driest climate in the country, then you might as well push it back, play under the lights, and hope you win and you can get the rest of the next day. If you lose, you got to come back and play pretty quickly. So that's the deal from over there at the box. They're in a delay, and we don't have a start time, but we anticipate sometime in the early evening, LSU and Little Rock will get underway. I know a lot of folks are concerned about the offense, and that's completely reasonable. They were bad in Hoover. I mean, they got shut out for the only time all year, the last time you watched them play, and it wasn't by an ace. It was by Ole Miss's bullpen, freshman bullpen arm. Talented, but still, bullpen arms. And it wasn't like they lit up the scoreboard in Columbia against a terrible pitching staff. And you still have the memories of Auburn, the memories of College Station, the memories of the first 18 innings against Tennessee where you couldn't hit Doyle, and then you had 1 inning in game 1, and then you couldn't hit Phillips, and it didn't erupt until the 3rd game of that series, and that's all reasonable. I'm not here to tell you that LSU is a juggernaut on offense. I'm not. What I am here to tell you is that there is very little correlation between Hoover performance and NCAA tournament performance, okay? Like, just go back a little bit. Go to the Mississippi State team that won the national championship in 2021. They went 0-2 and got run ruled twice. Won the Natty. Ole Miss went to Hoover, absolutely had to win. Lost their opener, went home, waited, were the last team in, went and won the Natty. LSU in 2023 went to Hoover and just was not any good. Tommy White couldn't play. Skeens got pulled early. They got beat by Arkansas when he played. They went 1-2. The offense wasn't great. I talked to a number of players for a feature story I wrote on Will Helmers before the season started, and they said, like, there was a team meeting when they got back from Hoover. No, in Hoover, sorry. At the hotel when they finished the game before they came back from Hoover, where, like, some guys got up and got emotional about like the way that they were playing. Because if you'll remember, they lost 2 out of 3 to Auburn. They blew a big lead and lost 2 out of 3 to a terrible Mississippi State team. And they just got out of Athens by the skin of their teeth with 2 wins. And then they went to Hoover and didn't play well. And it was like 3 of the last 4 weeks, they hadn't been that good. And they had a big emotional talk. And Beloso spoke, and Helmer spoke, and Cruz spoke. And they kind of got on the same page, and they came out, and they played really well in the regional. It wasn't perfect on Saturday. You had Floyd got hit a little bit, and it took them a while to get going, but they won the game. And then the Super, they were just gangbusters. But that's on the teams that didn't play well that went and were awesome in the postseason. Like LSU last year was awesome in Hoover. You thought they probably needed to win on Tuesday. They brought Jump back on short rest. He was good. Then Holman pitched. He was good. And you got all the way to the championship game. Great. Then you faced Wofford, who couldn't even throw Cowan, their ace. And you needed to hit 3 home runs in the last 2 innings, including a walk-off by Milam, to win the game against Wofford's number 2. And then you got beat by Carolina the next night. I watched LSU blitz the field in Hoover in 2010. They were riding high going to UCLA. They almost got beat by Irvine. They needed Trey Watkins to hit a walk-off double to beat the 3-seed Irvine in that regional. Now, last year, Tennessee was awesome in Hoover. And they went through and won the national championship. So I'm not saying that like it's an inverse. It's the exact opposite. What I'm saying is I'm not panicked that LSU didn't score in Hoover. You know what's a really good remedy for some slumping bats? 13,000 fans in the box, the wind blowing out a little bit because it's late May, early June, and Little Rock and Rhode Island pitching to you. That's a pretty good remedy to wake up some bats. And still, when you look at LSU's numbers, like, they're good offensively on the whole. They're not for the weekend in Auburn. They're not for the weekend in Norman. They're not for the weekend in Austin. They're not for the weekend in College Station. They're not from Hoover. But there were games they blew the doors off Arkansas, blew the doors off Tennessee, blew the doors off Mississippi State, knocked Missouri around, obviously, did enough against South Carolina. And when you look at the midweek, and I would suggest that there's some similar pitching at Southeastern and Northwestern, or Nichols. Northwestern's probably a bad example. They 10-run LSU. McNeese, that was a really good team this year. Probably some similar arms to what Rhode Island's going to be throwing at you on Saturday or Sunday. Maybe Dallas Baptist. Like, Dallas Baptist has some dudes. They do. But I think LSU's going to hit this weekend. I'm not telling you they're a shoe-in to make it through, but I'm not panicked over what went on in Hoover. And here's the beauty of LSU's offense as it relates to like winning games. When you look at what they're asked to do, I feel like when called upon, Anthony Ionson's going to pitch it really good. When called upon, Cade Anderson's going to pitch it really good. Same goes for Evans and Cowan and Shores. Same goes for Newt and the guys that have been really good late. And the defense has been awesome all year. Braswell's playing a good third base. Milam's a lead at shortstop. Dickinson's a lead at second base. Your catching's improved. I know Stanfield had a rough day in College Station. I know he had a play he could have made in Hoover, but he's a good defensive outfielder. Curiel's a good defensive outfielder. I feel really good with either Brown or Pearson in right field. It's going to be a lot of Brown this weekend because you're facing a lot of right-handed pitching. But your pitching and defense should be good. You should hold all the teams in this regional until you get to the bare end of your pitching staff, which is going to take a while. You should hold all these teams to 4 or 5 runs. Like, I feel comfortable saying that. If one of these teams breaks out and scores 9 on LSU in one of the big games, I'm going to be annoyed and surprised. I think LSU will hold these teams to 4 or 5 runs. And for that reason, I'm not as concerned about the offense because I feel like the offense is going to score 4 or 5 runs every single game. I feel like there's a good chance when we start this thing against Little Rock that LSU is going to score 9 or 11 runs. And if Levesque, whenever they play, and Levesque is Rhode Island's ace, who shut Oregon out for 10 innings. If he goes tonight or tomorrow morning when they play, and he's really good, and LSU beats Little Rock and plays Rhode Island without Levesque, I think LSU is going to score 12 with either Anderson or Ianson on the mound. And I think they're going to win. So while I understand some trepidation about LSU's offense to this point, as it relates to this weekend, with these opponents in this order, I feel great about it. I feel great about LSU's chances to win this regional. It will be a sizable upset if they don't. And you know that, but we're hardwired to watch these guys every game and analyze it, and that passion makes this awesome. But I think sometimes we little bit lose the plot nationally because we're so fixated on what's going on locally. And so I feel good about LSU's offense. I think they're going to score when called upon. I think Jay Johnson feels that way as well. I told you yesterday that coming out of that pressure cooker of SEC play, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. Now, don't tell that to Florida because they showed up and couldn't get East Carolina out. They're losing 10-2. But I have a good feeling about LSU this weekend. And we'll see what awaits should they get through that. But I feel like LSU's in a really good spot to take care of their business this weekend. And we'll see when it starts. If you're just jumping in the car and not sure what's going on, LSU and Little Rock are delayed. The tarp is on the field at the box. It is raining. There's no start time determined at this point. Michael Cauble joined us at the top of the show to tell us that, hey, they need an hour and a half clean on the radar. And if they don't have an hour and a half clean, they're not doing anything. What that means is 45 minutes of warm-up and 45 minutes to play. So they don't anticipate having that until about 4 o'clock. I do know this from sitting at the box, and I'll go on the record here. I'm never more popular. Never more popular. Not on my birthday, not on the birth of my child. I'm never more popular than when there's a rain delay at the box because everybody has a feeling that I know what's going on immediately. One, I'm not there right now. But two, I generally find out when you do because somebody makes a decision. They tell Bill Franquez. Bill Franquez tells the stadium, and the media tweets it out. If I'm there, I tweet it out, or I have it there, or I put it on LouisianaSports.net. If I'm not, I read it at the same time as you all do on Twitter. But I don't know what this looks like, and I'm going to get a lot of text messages asking about it. But it looks like, based on what other people are saying, that it's going to be somewhere closer to 5 o'clock when LSU finally gets this thing cranked up against Little Rock. So we're moving along here on a Friday show. We're brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We'll step aside, come back, and close out hour number 1. Preston Guy and Luke Johnson in hour number 2 on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Closing up hour number 1 here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Troubling news out of, I guess, technically Los Angeles that hit the Twitter streets today. Zion Williamson, of course, Pelicans star, has been accused of rape by an ex-girlfriend who's not named in the public lawsuit. Jane Doe is the name that they'll use there. There are further accusations. I'm completely for everyone having their day in court. Zion Williamson's attorney has already put out a statement saying that everything is categorically false. They take the accusations very seriously, but they're false, and that's the way generally these things start. And I'm not here to litigate the incidents that are being reported. Like, that's for the court to do. That's for the attorneys to handle and the judge to rule upon. But what you can say is that Zion Williamson's time in New Orleans has been littered with more issues away from the court, whether that be injuries, lack of communication, weight room issues, Twitter rumors, and now legal issues. And you have to wonder at this point if there's ever going to be anything that comes of his career, anything of note that comes from his career on the court in New Orleans. Clearly, any allegations that are brought forth that are deemed accurate and then there's a conviction are far more important than windmill dunks and pull-up jump shots. But this is a sports show, and I'd like to talk about the sports impact of this legal issue. And New Orleans made the decision to move on from Brandon Ingram and keep Zion Williamson as part of its core. And I just don't know that there's any reason at this point to believe that Zion Williams is ever going to be a part of a core of a winning basketball team in New Orleans. And there's reason now to suggest that he may have played his last game in New Orleans. Again, that'll be for the court to decide. But I'm just sitting here looking at the ledger of basketball accomplishments and non-basketball issues that New Orleans has to deal with, and it's imbalanced, and it's a disaster. So I'll open the mics to y'all, Beck and Taylor. Like, is there any reason to suggest there is any future for Zion Williamson on the floor as a successful basketball player on a good team in New Orleans? And I'll have thrown the blanket on our entire discussion. We all realize if this is a conviction, we got far bigger deals to worry about than the Pelicans, but that's where our discussion is right now.
In New Orleans, no. My bigger thing is now, like, even if he is innocent of all this, like, who's going to trade for him? What big team's going to trade for him? Even if nothing comes of this, there's still that accusation out there. Pelicans are kind of tied up with it. That's where it's at. You can't trade him. He won't play. She's kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you just wondered which twist or turn was going to happen every year. So it's something with Zion Williamson. There hasn't been a year free of some sort of issue, whether it's an injury or you know, just rumors swirling around about his commitment to, you know, really wanting to be in shape, and so it. And yet here we are again with another wrench thrown into the plan of having Zion Williamson be the franchise player for the Pelicans, and this is just really sad for the team, for the fans, because we've gone through having first round picks, having the Chris Pauls and Anthony Davises, and this is just another. This is just going to be another failure, and not really to any fault of the franchise, besides, you know, evaluating, you know, the player, I suppose.
It's not as if Ja Morant was going to come with no issues.
Yeah.
And that was the decision.
Right. It was Ja or Zion. So this really just sucks for the team and for the fans, and no matter what happens, like Taylor said, no matter what happens, whether he's completely exonerated, it's still going to be a stain on his reputation that this even came out at all. So. What the Pelicans can get is questionable at best.
What this all boils down to is we really thought for some time that the injuries were the biggest problem.
Right.
What to me has become the biggest problem with Zion is his decision-making is often terrible. Whether that's with diet, whether that's with the people that surround him, whether that's with the communication with people around him, whether it's the organization or his representation or all that. And then certainly, if this comes to light and is true, that's horrendous decision-making. So this is a common theme that has, to me, trumped the pulled hamstring or, you know, whatever, the rolled ankle or the blown-out shoe at Duke. Like, he just makes bad decisions time and time and time again. And at a certain point, if you're 18 and 19, you go, okay, well, let's just see if we can grow up. Well, how many years have you been in the league now? He's been in the league, 6 years? Like, I don't know that there's reason to believe that a lot of his behavior is going to change. He's just, to this point, a poor decision maker.
Yeah.
And that's someone who, as the face of your franchise, that's not going to work.
No, it's not. And sometimes, we've seen it happen before with guys that are number one overall picks. Sometimes they just can't handle the pressure and just the expectations that come with being the number one pick, and people just expect so much of you, and sometimes people can't handle it. And it seems that Zion at every turn has really struggled to handle all of the weight of those pressures. So hopefully none of this, nothing comes of this, but no matter what, this is just another, like I said, this is just another, mark on his legacy with the Pelicans. And it doesn't seem that it's ever going to become good.
It's a bad legacy. It's been a bad run here for the Pelicans when it looked like they were turning the corner with a nucleus that could compete in the Western Conference, at least in the middle of it. Not the case anymore. All right, that's it for hour one. Our Friday shows, as always, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. If you got a hankering for a po' boy, Friday's a great time to get on by Cork's. Get a big old shrimp po' boy. It's awesome, awesome stuff. My guy Glenn West, native New Orleanian, who comes on every Tuesdays, he walked over there, got a po' boy when he heard all about it on the show. So he goes, that's some good stuff. It's great. Go check him out over there on Government between Foster and Jefferson. See the menu online at corksfishandshrimp.com. Open the show with Michael Cauble. Appreciate him hopping aboard from the box. If you're just jumping in, look, it's raining over at the box. Tarps on the field. They got a delay. We'll see when they can get started over there with Game Run 1 of the Baton Rouge Regional. We will keep you posted if we hear anything over the next hour and 5 minutes. But right now, no word. So we're going to move on and talk a little bit about football. If you missed any of the first hour, still time to catch it on demand wherever you find your sound, certainly on YouTube as well. Got Saints OTA talk, quarterback competition talk. That's coming up here in 5 minutes. Preston Guy talking some LSU football recruiting in 20 minutes from right now at 2:15. And hopefully we'll have more updates from the box, and I'll get you caught up on the regional scoreboard in the second hour as well. Hope your Friday's going well. Stay dry and safe out there. We got 1 hour to go. We'll pause for Sports Center for national headlines. Back with the last hour of the week of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.